Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Sales Funnel Conference Call with Tim Sales and Stefan Page. My name is Kristen Bohr, and I am the host for tonight's call and also a member of Tim's staff at First Class MLM Tools. Now, before we get started, I want to draw your attention to an important resource that you'll need for the call tonight. To enhance your learning experience, we've prepared several screenshots and images for you to take a look at during the presentation. And you can get this information by going to our website. That website address is firstclassmlmtools.com/ultimate. Again, that address is firstclassmlmtools.com/ultimate. You can look at the images right from your web page, or you can download the PDF, print it out, and take notes. So with that little bit of business behind us, I'd like to begin by saying thank you to all of you for being on time tonight and participating on our call this evening. I know you're here to learn from the man and the legend, Tim Sales, and so it will be my absolute pleasure to introduce you to him. And then in a little bit, Tim is going to introduce our special guest, Stefan Page. Let me tell you a little bit about Tim Sales. He has been an MLM industry icon for over 2 decades. He's made millions of dollars in network marketing, leading a team of over 65,000 people and earning upwards of $150,000 per month. But it's not just the money that has spurred him into the MLM Hall of Fame status. He is an author of the brilliant compensation video. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's that video that's been used around the globe to professionally explain network marketing. He has been interviewed by broadcast legend Larry King on the legitimacy of network marketing, and he's even been an instructor of MLM courses at a major university. He's traveled the globe training and teaching thousands and thousands of network marketers the skills they need to break through and succeed, and his training courses are recommended by top leaders all over the industry. Not only that, I can tell you that Tim is an incredible human being. He is a family man. He's an outdoor enthusiast. He is full of tenacity, and he has a huge heart. He teaches us to make people's lives better in one of his training courses, and he truly walks the walk and talks the talk in every possible way. He wanted to do this training call tonight because he truly cares about your success. So please allow me to welcome onto the call tonight a true MLM legend, Mr. Tim Sales.
Well, thank you, Kristen. You're going to choke me up over here with all of that. I appreciate it so much. And to all of you that are on the call, we got word that we had 1,000 lines, and we've maxed them out here. And so I'm beyond humbled that you're here, and I'm going to make it worth your time. I'm going to be concise and to the point, but I'm also going to make sure that you fully understand the concepts that I'm going to explain to you. My staff is it's a bittersweet relationship. They'll send me over questions that people are asking. If you haven't known this, there was a newsletter that went out a few weeks ago, and it was basically telling everyone that I was going to answer questions that people would ask. And I think that kind of in some ways my staff was kind of nudging me. And when I start going through the questions, I become you. I feel you. I know what you're going through. And doggone if I didn't just light the whole company up and scare them half to death with all of a sudden I'm like, we need to do this and we need to do this. There is no reason that people should be struggling with these frustrations. This is insane. It's not that complicated, and so I start going at it, and I come like a tornado through the company there and put extreme, insane demands on them. And so I want to first start off by thanking my staff for working through the night and pulling all this stuff together on a whirlwind. All right. So now that I've thanked everyone, I want to kind of jump in here, and I want to give you the theory, the big broad view of what we're talking about. When we talk about a sales funnel, what we're talking about is walking a prospect through a series of steps. And I'll explain steps in just a second, okay? We're walking prospects through a series of steps so that they gain a better understanding of what you're offering. Okay, so if you're offering, let's say, a weight loss product, then you're going to walk your prospect through a series of steps so that they understand weight loss, and specifically your weight loss. If you're talking to people about owning their own business, and that's your offer, then you're going to walk a person through a series of steps to get them to a greater understanding and an acceptance of your offer. Okay? Now, I'm standing up in my office in front of my giant whiteboard, and I have drawn the same 4 boxes that I have drawn for 23 years. And what it is it's real simple. It starts off with 3 boxes, and the 3 boxes are the steps, if you will. And the steps are just very easily lead, presentations, close. Okay, that's basically the three steps or the 3 sequences that you're going to walk people through. Now, how many presentations you're going to have to put them through is unique to your offer. All right? That's the only part that can put you into a little bit of a tailspin, is if you don't recognize that you can have multiple presentations. The whole thing that we're talking about is that when you get to that last box has to convert. And conversion means it has to convert that person from a contact into a qualified lead or a rep or a customer. It's got to like convert them. If it doesn't convert them, then that series of sequence, we'll from now on call it a funnel, that series of sequence doesn't work, and it needs to be altered. It needs to be changed, and it needs to be tweaked. All right? So that is the entirety of the bigness of the subject. And the reason that it's viewed or discussed as a funnel is because, and I'm actually on my whiteboard drawing it right now, from the leads box in the far left-hand corner all the way down to the sign-up, you're going to have people fall off. They're not going to be interested. Somewhere along the way, they lost interest. And so that's the reason that it's called a funnel. And so if you put a bunch of people through the front end, there's going to be less people who are going to come out the other end, normally. Okay, that's the reason for the terminology, nomenclature of a funnel. And you're just going to lose some people. And if you'll go to slide number 2, I'm going to share with you the follow. It's actually number 3. I'm sorry. You'll, you know what? I better look at your version instead of my version to make sure that we're on the same one here. Yeah. All right. Good. So on number 3, you're going to see the funnel effect. And so we start off with 1,297 leads, and then we put them into video number 1, and about a third of those people are going to still be with us. All right? Well, that's a big drop. And then we're going to put them into the second video, and then we're going to put them into the third video. And then that's going to come out on the small end of the funnel with only 60 people remaining. But when I say only 60, what are we talking about? That's a lot of people to bring into your business. And I want everyone to just think of this one little teeny-weeny concept. Tim Sales answered an ad. And so any one of the 60 could be a Tim Sales. And that, too, is somewhat of a funnel. And what I mean by that is that it might take you 60 to find a leader. And is that bad? Is that good? Who cares with the kind of money that you can make in this industry? And so what you're doing is that you're looking for people who are self-starters. You're looking for people who have a life force. right? And so of the 60, you'll get a couple of those. And so the way this whole call got fired up, if you will, is that I was reading, and somebody asked the question about whether or not it was worth paying extra for outside tools versus inside tools. Now, I can't answer that specifically because I don't know what company you're with, and I don't know whether or not your tools convert or not. All right? But what fired me up was that people have 100%, that was a generalization, and I'm going to reel myself back in there. Some people think that it's okay to have an attitude that everything is an expense, and that is literally, I'm using this word almost as a definition, that is literally insane. Because if you own your own business, that's not the game you need to be thinking. In other words, you're thinking of an entirely different, you're thinking employee mentality and not business ownership. If you get something that converts, then spend whatever you have to. Like, that's the reality of it. And I'll get to something at the very end here about, if I have a secret, it's not a very deep kept secret, but it is something that I don't go touting around about, but I have mentioned it before. All right, and I'm going to share that with you about, like, really, truly, how does this thing really work? How do you really, really knock it out of the park? And so what I'm going to do now is the gentleman that actually I called him up, and when I read the newsletter, the newsletter question, I called him up and I said, "Hey, man, send me over your Excel spreadsheet." And he said, "Which one?" I said, "The one where you got a whole bunch of basically you show the whole process and the breakdown at each level." And so I sent it. Well, that gentleman we have on the phone with us, okay, his name is Stefan. And I want to just share with you a little bit of a story between he and I. I think we've known each other for something, I was calculating it before the call, I think it's been around 13 years or so. He came to a seminar that I was on the stage at, and he was one of those people who come up and they ask for help. And he was persistent but polite. And he just, in a very professional way, was just persistent. And if you know the master-student relationships, if you've been in those before, you'll know that I would be looking for certain clues. And he had them all. And so I agreed to help him. And I told him how busy I was. I told him sometimes that he could send me 10 messages and I would not get them and I would not reply. I come off of a seminar in Dubai and I have 3,000 emails sitting in my inbox. When I get to my hotel room, I just Control-Alt-Delete. I just delete them all. I don't even look at them. I cannot go through them. And so he said, "That's fine. That's fine." I said, "You may call me 5 times and I will never even reply." He said, "That's fine. That's fine." And so that's the way our relationship began, and he would do things, and then he would come back, and he would say, "Here's what I've done." And I would look at it, and I would adjust a little tiny thing. And we just kept that process up, and he would always come back. He would send me his recorded calls, and they were verbatim from Professional Inviter. I swore he swiped some off of Professional Inviter and sent them to me and acted as though they were him. I'm joking. But that's what was really going on between him and I. And today, he has a true professional networker. He knows all parts of this business. He builds big, and not only that is that there's a little tiny thing that I put at the end of Professional Inviter. It's on the last CD, and what it said was that what you needed to do was to master, if you will. You needed to master each lead generation technique, that you didn't want to just own one, because every person who comes into your business may have a little bit more of a comfort level with, let's say, postcards, or they may have a little bit better success or feeling about warm market or whatever. And I said that you needed to know all of them so that you could really be of assistance to anybody who joined your organization based on their preference. And I can honestly say that Stefan has passed the master, if I was to be a master. And I'm not claiming that. I'm just merely saying that I was teaching him, and he took online marketing, and he surpassed me. All right? There is no question, and I don't have any hesitations in admitting that, because he is truly expert at what he does. And so I asked him to come on this call so that we could kind of lock arm in arm here and to walk you through the absolute process of how he not just once, he does this consistently. He's done it with multiple companies. It does matter, and we'll talk about that when we talk about company video. But it really doesn't matter so much. It just matters that you push the process. And so with that, I'm going to bring Stefan on and have you, and Stefan, if you can share with people about where you get leads and some of them that are a little bit better that you found and so forth.
Well, absolutely. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Well, I had to get back on my chair here. You talked about choking earlier. Well, that's how I feel now. It's a great introduction. I love this. I feel honored to be on this call, Tim. I remember just a few years ago, I was the one writing notes, paying attention, recording the call, going back to it, and just studying and studying. And now I'm here with you, and we've been working together, building teams, and just having a blast. And so it's an honor to be here today.
Honor to have you.
All right. So you want to talk about funnel, and so what would you like me to begin with?
If you can, just share with people about leads and how that 1,200 number came from somewhere. Uh-huh. Where did the 1,297 leads? Where all do you get your leads from?
Okay. Well, from multiple sources, and the first lead source were my personal contacts. And we teach this in the industry, and it's still true today. That's the best way to go. It's the fastest way to build, because people have a relationship with you. They know you and trust you enough to at least review information. So that's the best market to go after. And I've done it, and I've done it successfully. I've built teams of thousands of people. I held events, local events with hundreds of people, and so I've done this stuff. So it is the primary way to build your network, and you're going to have higher conversion with your warm market. So that was my primary way, and then after that I kind of went through all of my contacts, and I said I got to step out of my comfort zone and go into the cold market. And what I did is I approached strangers at the shopping mall. I put flyers on car windshields. I've done all of those things. Not too much successfully. I didn't really enjoy that part, but there are some people who are having success with it. I just didn't stick with that method. And the next way really that I started to build was I started to buy leads. And that's where I basically learned to speak English, because the only lead source I could get my hands on were English-speaking leads. There was no French ones. And so the way I learned to speak English was basically to study all of your material. So I was listening, paying notes, I was talking, and I was trying to talk like you, pronouncing the words. And so I got on the phone, and I called leads, and one after the other, and I was basically just following exactly what you were saying. I was trying to repeat the same thing.
It was verbatim. So those calls that you would send me, it was verbatim. I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and I even got sometimes that people thought I was actually Tim Sales, and I said, no, actually, I'm not. But anyway, so that's where I learned. That's where I build with leads. So when you ask me where this 1297 leads come from, that is from Lead Source that I bought. And after the leads, and I would say, just so you know, leads is the second best way, I would say, to go after the best strategy, and the reason is because when you buy a lead, it's not too much effort on your end to generate the leads. All right, so you're not going after people. You're just waiting for the leads to come in, and then you just call them. So the only thing you need to focus on is your communication skills. And so that's why I would say buying leads is the best one after warm market. So that would be second. And then after that, I started to place small ads in classified websites like Craigslist. In Canada, we have Kijiji. In the U.S., you have eBay Classifieds. And so I posted ads there, and I generated many leads. Actually, if you want to get some numbers real quick, I had 774 leads from those free sources, and my conversion ratio was exactly what is showing on the graphs. All right, it's exactly like that. And when you see 1,297 to 423, what basically that is just that there are some people that you can't reach. You dial the phone. Some others you haven't called yet, and things like that. Then some others you just set an appointment, but you call them back, they don't answer, so you don't know if they reviewed the information. And so that's where this number comes from. So the free classified ads, great place, because it's not too complicated, again, to place an ad. It's just a few words you place on an ad, and there you go, you've got a lead. So they can reply by email, and you get to just call them. Again, it's really focused on communication skills. You're going to have to tweak your ad a couple times before you finally get results, but that's the other lead source. And what I did after that was to go into the social media things. So I did the Facebook, the Google, pay-per-click, and I went into blogging and all of those things. So all of the social media and video marketing. And basically that's a little bit more complex subject because there's multiple steps that you need to learn to be effective, all right, to create results. So, for example, it's you place an ad, you've got the title, the image, all of those things, and then when they click on it, they are redirected to another page which also has variables like a subject line and a capture form, all of those things. And then you also have your target market. So who are you targeting in your ad? And so all those things are variables. So this took me a whole lot more time to learn. But obviously, once you learn it, you can teach it fairly quickly to people on your team. And so they can duplicate very, very fast. And I would say right now, that is my primary method for generating leads, because these are the most responsive, the best quality leads, and now you can duplicate that to your people. They don't have to go through all the troubles that you've been through to learn how to implement that. So is there anything you would like me to add or share with the group here about this?
No, I think that's good for right now for the general topic, and we'll get a little bit more in detail when we hit the specifics of what the wealthy buy in Brilliant Conversation. Okay, so once you get the lead, then what you need to do is call them. I know what you're thinking. Tim, you had me till then. I just want to create a funnel that people just go through and they sign up and I make $1 million and I never talk to them. Yeah, who wouldn't? But the company won't pay you half of their compensation plan to do that. All they'd have to do is buy a piece of machinery and spit it out. Okay? It's not a real world scenario. Okay? So you're going to have to kind of like come back to real life, because both Stefan and I have tried it. We have thought that idea probably before you, and it doesn't work. I built a system. I think it was just about $2 million that I spent. And this was way back when systems didn't exist. I'm talking about 1998, 1999 time frame. I built a system, and the whole thing was going to do all this for me. And you guys understand, I'm Mr. Brilliant Compensation. I own the copyrights to the thing. I'm not pirating it. I can put it in a system and, just jam those things out, and I can send out, 1 billion a day. But what I'm trying to say to you is that it didn't work. I could sign people up, but I could not get it to duplicate. All right, and so there is no reason to be in network marketing or multi-level marketing if you're going to do that. You need to be in direct sales instead, because you're not really, in other words, if you look at any organization, if you get paid, 5 levels deep, 6 levels deep, 7 levels deep, that last level is going to be 92% more than all the other ones combined. And so your money and your income is coming out of your depth in network marketing. All right? So that's the reason that you don't want to do that. You got to pick up the phone. And that was the area that kind of that I got known as being a trainer for, because no one had ever heard what I had brought to the table at that time. And what it was is hey, these people are not targets. All right? They are real human beings. They have heartbeats. They have dreams and goals, and they need help. If they could have become a millionaire on their own, they already would have, and so they need help. And so that was the whole thing that Professional Inviter and Professional Presenter introduced, and then the communication qualities and so forth. And so the reason I bring those things up is that when you hit that fear zone, there's only one reason you hit a fear zone, and that is that you do not have certainty. And it's either certainty about what you're going to say, or it's certainty that you will know what to do with that person when they sign up. Okay? Those are the two certainties that if you don't have, you will sit on your backside with a phone hung up. It will not be on. It will not be that way. And so what you've got to do is that you've got to get past this part. I don't know anybody, no one that I know of has been successful in this industry who doesn't pick up that phone. And so what I did was that I broke it down. You've got this in front of you here. I broke it down into 6 simple steps. And these are the 6 simple steps that it doesn't matter if you are asking someone to marry you. It doesn't matter if you're asking them to Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter if you're asking them to fly to your city. You're always going to do the same conversation. And so it isn't as though you really have to learn anything. What you really have to do is unlearn a bunch of junk. A bunch of junk that has been taught to you about manipulation. That's the only thing that you might have to do, because this is the most natural flow. Anytime you call somebody, you're going to greet them. Anytime you meet somebody in Starbucks, you're going to greet them. Anytime you do anything, you're greeting. All right? It's a handshake, it's a wink, it's a nod, it's whatever. And then after you get the greeting, and what I did differently than anybody else is that I have a definition for the end of the greeting. And it's when that prospect is talking freely and openly to you. Then you transition over into the qualify step. And the qualify step is very simply to find out what they need, want, or don't want. All right, so when you're talking to them, if they answered an ad that you placed for a business opportunity or a work-at-home business, then you've got an idea what direction that we're going. If they answered an ad to lose weight, you've got a direction. You know where we're going, and they do too. And so it's not like you walk up to someone at a bookstore and you just start chatting with them. Okay, so you're going to have to spend a little bit more time kind of navigating through what the person's talking about to determine what that person needs and wants. All right? And then once you've determined that your sales funnel in presentation number 1 is going to connect to what this person qualifies for. And so in other words, when I say you got to qualify what they need, want, and don't want, all right, you're going to have to know that based upon what they are talking about, what they qualify for. Let's say they're talking about that they, need extra time, and they never have enough time to spend with their family. And you say, all right, very good. Okay, now you know that if you sent them straight to what the wealthy buy on payday, then they're going to get an answer to that. But if they're talking about weight management, if they're talking about needing to lose a few pounds, get in shape, and you send them to what the wealthy buy, something's wrong. That's not a connect, all right? So it's going to have to be, your funnel has to basically, the first video has to be in relationship to what they qualify for, okay? And so as it relates to business and the sales funnel that Stefan and I have been using, it is explorefreedom.com/whatever you name your website. Okay, so if you name your website Trump, if you name your website, Espresso, whatever you name your website, that is where What the Wealthy Buy and Brilliant Compensation are on. All right, in just a second, I'm going to have Kristen share with you where those things are so that you know what they look like, and if you haven't ever seen them, you'll be able to see them. All right, and then after, okay, so I'm on the phone, I call the person, and I say, hey, you responded to an ad that I ran in the whatever, Washington Post, Facebook, wherever you advertised. You say, hey, you answered an ad that I ran on Facebook, and I was just calling you back to find out if you found what you're looking for. And the person says, well, no, I was just wondering what this is all about. All right, very good. My name is Tim Sales, and your name is blah, blah, blah. And so you create the greeting, right? And you talk the person through. And when you find out that they do qualify, you're going to invite them to explorefreedom.com/your name, all right? And then you're going to close them into an action step. And what that means is you're going to move them into actually doing it. And so you're going to say something like this. Okay, Bob, what I want you to do is take a look at that video. The video is actually only about 15 minutes long, and then I want to call you back, okay? So can I call you in 15 minutes? All right, that's the way that it's a little tiny bit assertive, but hold on just a cotton-picking minute. That person answered an ad that they need more money. And so it's not assertive at all. It's only assertive because you don't want to be someone who's pushing someone. I didn't say to push anyone. I said to pull them here. Okay? They answered the ad. They're looking for money. Help them out. All right? They're a little bit shy. They're a little bit timid about the whole thing. I understand, but this is your game. This is what we do. Okay? All right, so you pull the person through, and they in the close to action step, and then you call them, and they don't answer, right? I mean, it was only 15 minutes ago. They don't answer. Okay, all that happened is that they may end up being one of those that fell off the funnel. No big deal. It's what we do. The statistics of what we've shown you earlier go from $12.97 to $60. Are you going to cry about every one of those that fall off? You're going to be crying a lot, okay? That's not what we're after. We're looking for the 60. And if that person's not it, okay. Those numbers have got to go somewhere. Somebody's got to say no. And so it's just all part of it, all right? All right, let me jump back to the next one. So after you close to action, you call them back, and if they don't answer, then you're going to follow what's called the follow-up sequence. And the follow-up sequence is you call 7 times. I laid it out verbatim when you call, statistically where you get the best results. All right? If you generate the kind of leads and the number of leads that Stefan gets, that he generates, he's told me honestly that he really only does about 3 to 4. But that's because he has more new leads coming in than he does follow-up calls. Right? It's not uncommon for this guy to generate a couple of hundred leads a week. Okay, so he's kind of insane, and that's a lot of volume to go through. All right, so then if the prospect asks you any questions, then you're going to basically handle whatever question they bring up. If they object to something, I can't watch it today, I'm right now heading out to a meeting. You say, okay, very good. When we get a chance to watch it, I'll be able to watch it probably tonight. Okay, about what time? 6? Okay, good. I'll call you at about 6:30. Is that good? Right, so that's just handling whatever objection comes up. And then if there is, any kind of let's just, hang on a second, let's just say that the person does do it. They say, hey, yeah, I love that video. And you say, what did you like about it? Or you say, did you watch the video? And they say, I did. And what do you like about it? Well, I really, really like the way what the poor people do, and man, you ought to see my house. I got stuff hanging all over the walls, just like you just like that guy said. And I say, good. Well, the reason that I showed you that video up front was just simply because I want you to start thinking like a business owner. And the same guy that did that video did another video called Brilliant Compensation. And it goes into a little bit more in-depth into what we're doing. Now, I'll just tell you this, that in the initial conversation, while I'm greeting and qualifying the person, there'll come a moment where that person has said enough and they want to hear from you. And so typically I will say something like, all right, well, let me explain to you a little bit about what we're doing. All right, well, every business does marketing and we aren't any different. And so we're in the health industry. We market to doctors. We market to various different people. We also go direct to consumer. And so I want you to just have this overview so that I'm going to have you look at a video so that you can be thinking with how this will work. Okay, so that's the general conversation that I have in the beginning. If the guy's headlocking you and wants specifics and what's the name of the company and things like that, it becomes a little bit of a tug of war. And I let you listen into some of those in Professional Inviter where okay, good, and you kind of just hold your own a little bit, and if the guy becomes a jerk, you let him go. But most of the time it doesn't happen. I only have a couple of them. Okay, so after you have followed up with them, and they said yes, they enjoyed that video, and then you say there's another one, and if you wanted to, you can say there's 2 videos on there, and I want you to watch both of them. The first one is called What the Wealthy Buy on Payday, and what I normally do is just say there's a red button on the left-hand side under the current video. Watch that one first. And so that's the easiest way if you wanted to have them do both or if you wanted to walk them through step by step. But I want you to think about something. Don't be afraid of the phone. I know it's time-consuming, but I assure you, 5 years is worth the 18 years that I was in retirement. It's not that long, all right? It may feel like it, but you're just going through the numbers here, okay? All righty. So when you call them, I just want to make sure I've got all these things clear. When you call them, each time you call them, you're actually building a relationship. And that's the key part. You may want to be very, very efficient, but I assure you it's the relationship that's going to make this thing work. And so when I would listen to Stefan's calls, I could hear that he was actually bonding and creating a relationship with these people. All right, so the next slide that you're looking at, you must wonder, what in the world is Tim doing with this picture? Well, what it is that the whole reason you have to do the first call is because you don't know how your prospect views himself. You don't know that. Because people talk a game, they talk like lions, but they act like mouse, mice. And so you may be talking to a person who views himself as a Ray Kroc, and so you better be talking to him like a Ray Kroc. You might be talking to somebody who wants to be a franchise owner. All right, now that's your distributor. That's your person that's going to build. It's going to build a sales team, okay? And then you might be talking to people who want to sell products. They work in the retail industry, and you want to get them a good product that you have so that they can sell that product. And you might be just talking to a customer, all right? And, I hated to use that picture, but it made me laugh. And so from the McDonald's perspective, you don't know who you're talking to until you get them on the phone, all right? All right, so those are, that takes us up to, up through the your company video. So before I jump into that, I want to have Kristen just walk through real quick for those of you who don't know about what the wealthy buy and brilliant compensation. I want to have Kristen run through and show you how to do that. I think you'll scroll down to the bottom of your PDF file. Kristen?
Yeah, that's right. To follow along with me, just jump down. We're going to start on page 7. Brilliant compensation and what the wealthy buy are part of a system that we've a system that we've created called MLMBrilliance.com. And you can see the screenshot right there at the top of page 7. When you go to MLMBrilliance.com, this is what the page looks like. And I'm going to walk you through, step by step, exactly how you'll get access to brilliant compensation. So if you scroll down to the next page at the top of page 8, this instructs you to click on, from our main menu, you could see the drop-down menu there. Click on MLM Brilliance, and then I've highlighted in yellow, sign up or log on. That's what you're going to click on. And when you do that, it's going to take you right on over to our registration page. And if you're following with me at the PDF, I'm on page 9. And you'll notice that you end up right here on our official sign-up page. Now, this page has a lot of information that explains how MLM Brilliance works. And yes, the most important thing you need to know is that you get a free 30-day trial. So make sure you take us up on that offer. But what you'll do is scroll down through that page, and you'll end at the very bottom where you're able to choose which option you want. We've got a Pro option or a Premier. They're both wonderful options. What I'm not showing you here on our screenshots are all of the different features, and that's what's contained between the top of the page and the bottom of the page. So you'll want to make sure that you read over those features just real quick. One of my most favorites that I love is the Video Manager. And the reason I like that is because not only do you have access to all of the videos that we give you in this system, but as a user, I can upload any videos that I want. So if my company has a really fantastic video that converts really well, I'll upload it into my system and send it out. If I want to create my own video, I can upload that into the system, and I can send that out. And when you think about the possibilities, it's not only videos that you could use for business, but also products. So think about videos that you could use to help sell and promote your most favorite product that you sell. So there's a lot of possibilities with all of the different features. In fact, I was talking with a customer a couple of months ago who was able to cancel 3 other monthly services because his MLM Brilliant system had all of those features in one place. So he canceled the other 3 and ended up saving over $300 a month. And I thought that was really cool. So anyway, make sure you read over those features, know which package that you'd like, and then click on the yellow button to start your trial. Now, if you're following along with me on the PDF, you're going to be on page number 11. And once you select which option that you want, you're going to end up here on the little registration page. It's really simple. We only ask for your credit card information to prevent spammers from abusing the system, but you do get a free 30-day trial. I promise you that. And then here's the best part about it. Sometimes people look at systems like this and get a little afraid because systems can be time-consuming. I promise it's very, very easy to get things set up. If you're efficient, you could have things set up and ready to go in 10 minutes or less, and that's no joke. But we're all at different levels, and we understand that. And so we have Steve Ulrich on our team. He is your MLM Brilliance go-to guy. When you sign up, you're going to get 2 emails. Number 1 is just your standard welcome email. It lets you know how to log in. And the second email you're going to get comes from Steve, your go-to guy. And he can help you with absolutely anything that you need help with. If it's a basic question like you need help putting your picture on your website, or maybe you want to change some of the information or some of the text in an autoresponder, he'll be happy to help you with that. Maybe your question is a little bit more technical related. You want to create your own custom campaign, or you need help importing leads, or you have a real specific idea in mind for your own funnel, and you want to know how you could make that a reality. Steve is your go-to guy, and he'll be happy to help you. When you get his email, it will give you all the different ways that you can contact him and stay in touch with him. And that's how you get access to brilliant compensation and what the wealthy buy. And then, of course, the next step in the funnel is to get your prospects ready for your company video. And so I'll let Tim and Stefan pick it back up and tell us what that's all about.
All right. Thank you so much, Kristen. And so right after your prospect goes through what the wealthy buy, and by the way, the reason that I labeled that as a light bulb is that most people have a light bulb moment in what the wealthy buy on payday. And that's what we're trying to have. And in marketing, that's what you're always wanting to occur, so that the person then starts saying, hey, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. I want to learn here. Okay? So that's the reason it says light bulb there. All right. So once they come through, and brilliant compensation, if you don't know, I hope that you do know, but brilliant compensation is to basically scrub the objections and the naughtiness and the misinformation and disinformation that's about MLM, pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes, and all of that. Okay, and so that's what the person gets. Okay, so after that, and I'm just going to run back up here to my statistics, and because I want to make an emphasis here, between what the wealthy buy and brilliant compensation, there's a 94% adhesion. In other words, the opposite of attrition. They're here. They're still with you. You lose 6% between what the wealthy buy and brilliant compensation. That is unheard of. Okay? And there's a really nice transition between those two. Okay, so then once that person comes through there, then you're going to put them into your company video. And so typically I'll call the person back after brilliant compensation, and I'll say, hey, what did you learn from that video? And, well, it's the basketball going through the garden hose, or it's the 3 ways that volume moves, or, it's something, and that's what I have to make sure of, because I don't want them telling me they watched it and then didn't. And so I'll be polite about it, but I will say something if I don't feel as though they did watch it. I say, did you watch all of that, and did you pay a whole lot of attention to it? Or something like that, just to make sure. And if not, then I'll send them back out there again to rewatch it. Okay. So now, Stefan, since you've done this with multiple companies, I mean, I have too, but since you've done it with multiple companies, and these are your statistics, what is it that you have to have before you say, yeah, that's the video that I'm going to put at the end of my brilliant compensation?
All right. Well, first of all, what you don't want, typically, if I've looked at many companies, and typically you don't want to use the replicated website that they provide you. There's too much information. It's confusing. There's the comp plan, all the products, and they're lost. So what you want is something that gives a good overview of the company. Very often you'll see most companies have a video that gives the vision of the company, where the cause that they support, the science behind the products. So it touches on all these different points. It's a good overview. And then with that, then you can include a link to, let's say, your flagship product. And it could be a specific website just on that product, or it could be a PDF, or it could be a video on that product. But it's not too much so that they just are confused and they start to look around and it's too much information. But it's enough to at least have a good overview of what the company is, what kind of stuff there is behind this, like the science and the kind of products, the kind of people behind. So that's what I'm trying to find in a company. And then from there, next thing is to get on the phone and see where we need to take this.
All right, and how do you do that? Like, what's the conversation that you have when you get the person back on the phone after they've watched your company video?
All right, well, I'll say exactly like you said with brilliant compensation. I say, okay, so did you review the information? They say yes. Okay, was there a particular part that caught your attention? Is there anything that you liked? And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying for them to focus on the positive. Then if I were instead to say, so what do you think? Then people tend to always criticize. And so I want to focus them on the positive. So by just asking them which part did you like the most, is there anything in particular, they focus on the positive. And then from there, I can build with that. All right, so that's going to be my first entry with this.
Good. All right. And so, what are you going for? Are you going for? Let's just mock up an idea here. Are you going specifically towards trying to get that person to sign up as a rep and buy a product package and that sort of thing? Okay, so let's just pretend that this is the direction that we're going.
Uh-huh.
And so, do you start closing? In other words, like, do you start? Like, how do you move the conversation to, well, I watched it. It looks pretty cool.
Okay. What my goal is to find, before I go into closing, because the problem is if I just ask for the order and I just, okay, let's get you started, they may have objections that they didn't tell me yet. So what I need to do is to dig a little bit more and to find out if there's anything holding them back. And so what I'll do is I'll just focus on the positive and say, well, I really like the science. Oh, really? So are you pretty knowledgeable on this? What's your background? Or, tell me more about this. And so they start to explain, and they tell me, well, I've been on these products, and, I'm self-educated on this, and they talk about this. So I'm getting to feel what's going on in their mind. And here's what I found, very revealing, is that let's say I'm in a health company and the person I'm talking to is not someone who's taking health products. They're not too health conscious. Immediately I know it's going to be very hard to get them involved in the business. And the reason is because they don't see that there's a market out there for this product. And so I'm going to have a conversation about trends, and if they see that there's, big trends around health, and try to get them to realize what's happening in the marketplace. But it's rare that I ever accomplish this just because they're not health conscious. Now, today, more and more people are, so it's becoming easier and easier. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is just to focus on the things that they like, and then I get them to talk and be enthusiastic about this, and we just try to go there. But the thing is, yes, that's where by them talking more and more, those objections will eventually surface if there is any objection. And so this way, if I were instead to go directly in closing, I may just face a direct no response. I'm not interested. Oh, no, that's not for me. And they'll never tell me what's really going on. And so by having them to talk freely and openly, just like in the greeting, about the things they're passionate about, and we talk and talk and talk, and then that leads into eventually coming up with the objections.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's exactly the way. And Stefan and I have done enough three-way calls and things like that we know where each other is at. Now, you can bust the thing wide open. You could do something really salesy, like, is there any reason that you won't get started today? Right? Come on. That's kind of a hard hit, but you could do that, and that's going to flush up one of two things. A hang up, they're going to hang up on you, or they're going to say, no, I've got to talk to my spouse, or, in other words, they're going to start ducking and dodging because you're coming on too assertively. And so that's the reason that it's such a great idea, what Stefan just said, is to say, so tell, what did you think about the video? What did you like about it? And I'm talking about the company video. So that was really well done. All right. So what I want to do now is that I have somewhat of a special announcement that I want to share with you. Stefan and I, when we were going back and forth, and him saying, I'll do this part and you do this part, and we were going back and forth. There was a part in there about the leads that I was a little bit frustrated with. And what it was is that we can't teach you the whole thing because each one of those subjects, if we were to take up warm market, we could spend quite a bit of time on that. And if we just took up writing ads, then we got to get into sales copy and where you run your ads and all those kind of things. And so I just basically asked Stefan if he would be willing to do a call with me that has to do with just becoming an expert on Facebook. And when I say expert, I'm talking about a novice expert. An expert would be someone like Stefan, but a novice would at least be someone who could generate leads. All right? Now, I hope you can tell Stefan is the real deal. He's done these numbers. It's not a bunch of hype. I know it. Number one, I would never have him on the call, and I wouldn't be on the call here with him if he wasn't the true real deal. All right? And he is the best that I know of. It's not somebody out there that's got sales copy running and telling you. I'm telling you, I know him. Right? I know him really well. I know that in his team, and so what we're going to do, just so that you know, that I tell you specifically, what we're going to do is that we are going to do a webinar. It's going to be probably about 90 minutes long, or really as long as it truly takes, but that's our target, is to be 90 minutes, where we teach you how to generate leads through Facebook. And the reason that we chose that specific one is because he's got a 76-year-old grandmother, and she happens to be on this call. I heard her announce herself when we came on. He's got a 76-year-old grandmother sponsoring a person a week through Facebook, okay, and leads generated off of Facebook. He's got a gal who has retailed over $4,000 worth of products, and so for all you retailers out there who want to sell products, this person has sold $4,000 worth of products using Facebook's ad. These are real stories. I know these people. All right, and so what we're going to do is do this. And if you think about like what all that it's going to take, it's going to be you know what? Let me have Stefan tell you. Tell him what we've organized that we're going to go over on that, or that they're going to learn.
Yes. Well, first of all, you will definitely learn, and actually you will experience what having the best leads that you can get, what it means. And you're going to get them very, very cheap. All right? And so the thing is, it's also duplicatable. You can teach others. Well, Tim mentioned about this grandmother friend. Well, she's been getting leads at a rate of about 4 or 5 leads a day for over a year now, and just from one ad. And she's been multiplying that with a couple more ads. She actually taught this to her friend who sold products, over $4,000, actually $4,200 worth of products in 8 weeks, just, from Facebook. So we're basically going to show you these things so that you can replicate that to your downline, and actually get it to the point where you have so many leads that you can even start a co-op with your team. And actually, that's what my friend has been doing. All right, and so now it's not just about teaching you the grand concept and never getting into the details. We're going to do it the Tim Sales way, meaning that everything is very detailed, very logical, step-by-step, and real examples. All right? We'll basically show you how to craft your offer so that you can attract the perfect prospect you ever wanted in your business or on your product. You'll also see the 2 types of ad that gets the most results and the one that costs you the least. We'll also talk about basically, the kind of leads you need to buy or to generate are people who are ready to buy and also ready to join your business. Now, all of them are going to join. Obviously, you have to go through steps with them. But what happened is these are the most responsive ones you can ever get.
You're welcome.
And so we'll show you some tricks on how to create the right pages, because the problem very often is you drive traffic to a page and it doesn't convert. So we'll show you how to get that so you have maximum results. So definitely your leads convert. And that's actually another mistake that beginners make all the time. And one last thing we'll teach you also is to really become a master, so you have conversion, but you tweak your stuff so you get the most results for everything. And I'll show you how to use actually Google to track your clicks, conversion with precise graphs, and all of that for free, basically, all of the tracking and all of that. So what I want to be very careful to document what works into simple easy-to-follow plans so that everyone in the webinar can duplicate these results with your downline. And Tim, I know you're going to also be on this webinar, so can you explain what you will share with people who actually register for this webinar?
Okay, what I'm going to do is that the whole thing that Stefan and I are not able to show you the importance of is in the conversion rate being 5%. And that's not shown anywhere. That was in the newsletter, but basically from the 1,200 to the 60, that's 5%, and we get it no matter like
what lead source, yeah,
whatever lead source. It doesn't matter if we get them from anywhere.
Just to speak on this, Tim, because this is important. Sometimes you think, I'm going to buy leads or I'm going to advertise. This is better. Well, here's the thing. The 5% that you see in the newsletter comes from the first-class MLM tools leads that I purchased. Okay, that's how I got those results. And I know I tested with multiple different source of leads in the past because I looked at cheaper leads, more expensive, and these were the most responsive. You'll say, it's biased. Well, these are my stats. All right, and if you don't keep track of your stats, well, start and compare. Test it yourself, and you'll see. And so that's the result I got. And when I started to do the classified ads, I got the exact same ratio, 5% conversion. And so what's going to be the difference with Facebook is just that we're going to show you how to target specifically the people that you're after. And so you get very high responsive leads. So sorry for that, Tim. I just wanted to mention that because, I know that some people on the call probably think about the different lead source, what's the best, and conversion at the end. 5%, that's what I get, any source.
Exactly. All right. So, and it's okay to interrupt me there because that was very important. And if you think about Facebook advertisements and what he was talking about with responsiveness, let me share something with you about this. If someone is, let's just say that there's a billboard or there's some sort of a thing, and they look at it, and then they, go to your website or they call and become a lead that then you buy, then what happens is that there's some time difference a lot of times, and then but it's at least targeted. But what Stefan was talking about, he was talking about very targeted. And what that means is that if there is a Facebook location and they're talking about MLM, and so you could target just people talking about MLM, all right? And Stefan is going to teach you that because he knows it just so well. And trust me, there's too many people who are dodo birds like me that click down there at the bottom and of Facebook and say, advertise. I'll bet you half of them don't even get approved because there are specific things that you have to do to be approved to advertise. There was a gal that I know real well, big marketer, and she said, Tim, I've never been approved to it until I watched what Stefan does. That just blew me away when he explained that. And so that's the specifics that you'll need to know. I got booted off of Google. All right, so Tim enters the. I came from the world where we did Wall Street Journal, USA Today advertisements, and things like that. And I came into the internet when I kind of jumped back into the game, and I wanted to advertise. When people were searching my name, Google canceled me when I was trying to use my name. And I'm like, wait, that's my name, all right? But because I was a newbie, I didn't know what I was doing. And so that's one of the reasons that I so strongly wanted to make sure that I got somebody who really knows this trade extremely well. And so when you think about the two examples that I named here, where there was the 76-year-old grandmother, and Stefan gave me more details about that I didn't know, and then the other person who is selling $4,000 just off of products. It's very valuable. And so if you were to do the same, I don't know how much you make on your kits, Like when somebody joins your business and they get a product kit, you might make $30 or I don't know, $70, $200 on your bigger packs, things like that. And so it's very, very valuable when you consider that. And then if you were to sell $4,200 worth of products once a quarter, once a month, once a week, right? And here's that secret that I was going to tell you about earlier. If you watch What the Wealthy Buy, and I strongly urge you to go watch it again, but watch it with one thought in your mind. And the thought is that near the very end, I say these words, the money wheel works like this. All right? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to replace whatever I say with the phrase of advertise, make a sell, take the profits, and advertise. Make the sell, make an put it in advertising, and do it again. In other words, the money wheel in this industry is to advertise, make a profit, push it right back into your advertising. In other words, put your profits back in there. And every time it cycles through, it's going to get a little bit bigger. In the very beginning, it's very, very tiny. All right? You're talking about, dollars. And then it becomes tens of dollars. And there were times when I was putting $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a month into advertising. This is a piece that no one really has ever talked about. Number one, most people don't want to take it, like they don't have the idea of taking it so big. And so what we wanted to do was to basically create a platform that we could teach people how to do this right. We got to teach you not to spam. Just like when I taught you what the on Brilliant Professional Inviter is that what irked me is I was on somebody else's conference call, and this person was telling everyone to hang up faster. Hang up before your prospect does. Hang up on them. And I got so offended by that I said, you know what, I don't know what this person's doing, but that's not me. That's not how I built. And so that's when Professional Inviter was launched. I got irritated at what I saw. And so in the same kind of a way. And so what we're doing is that we're going to offer this for $67. Is it worth it? Absolutely. All right? Because you have to know what to do, when to do it, how to optimize it, how to fix it if it's not converting, and then how to capitalize on those who respond. All right? In other words, you've got to have that conversation with them in the correct way. All right? And that's where the conversion comes in. It's all of those pieces put together, and you got to know those. And so for $67, are you kidding me? That's how I think about the price of it. And so what I asked Stefan to do, I go, will you be willing to do this with me for that little of money? Because he, number one, is that he makes a whole lot more money just by doing this stuff, not by, like, making money from teaching others. Okay? He makes it money from teaching his downline. And so I just asked him to come on and do this. And so I want to give you the website for this. It is www.firstclassmlmtools.com webinar. Okay? You need a / in there. So www.firstclassmlmtools.com /webinar. Again, www.firstclassmlmtools.com /webinar. Now, it's actually $47 if you do it right away. In other words, I really hate procrastination, and so do you. If I was your prospect right now, and I was saying, let me think about it, right? You're like, you dodo bird, come on, man. Like, all right, so I like to reward people for immediate, forward-thinking, no, I know I need to advertise. I know I need to get more leads. And if you knew the pennies that this 76-year-old lady is paying for leads every single week, you would knife yourself, and I'm not joking on that. You would be like, are you kidding me? I would be having leads coming in. And so in other words, if you procrastinate, it's going to cost you $20. If you don't do it, it could literally cost you millions. Somebody asked me the other day, he goes, Tim, how much money did you spend on leads? And I go, I don't know. I'm still earning it. In other words, some of the people that I've sponsored that I've made millions of dollars, I'm still earning on that. And so you can't think in a expense way. You have to think in a, this is what my business needs, whether it's selling products or it's driving people to the business. And so, again, the website is www.firstclassmlmtools.com/webinar. All right? And so what we want to do now, and by the way, just so that you know this, I don't want to offend anybody on it, but you're not going to be able to share your link with other people, okay? Because this is a paid program, if you forward your link from the webinar to somebody else, then you both will be cut out. All right, so the system will just basically see that there's two people logging in on the same ID, and they will cancel them, okay? And so it's the ethical thing to do anyway, and you guys know me. It's a big, big part of what I'm about, and so that. So, Kristen, I'm going to pass it back to you, and I'm going to ask you to open up the phone lines so that we can say goodnight to everyone. And everyone, before she does, I just for those of you who are old-timers and you've known me for a long time, we're going to do what I used to do, and so you may want to stick around. And so, Kristen, go ahead and open up the phone line so we can say goodnight.
Sure, you bet.
Unmuted.
Okay, everybody's unmuted.
You're not going to floor.
All right, everyone. I greatly appreciate you guys being on the call. And
I want to spray it down.
So if you have any questions, you can fire them.
I know. I'm going to get German down. Okay, I'm going to German
down. And they'll give you a great answer back. So good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you for being on the call.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good to hear your voice again.
Hey, good to hear yours again, man.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Really awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm the guy from New Jersey. My buddy from Oklahoma's on here. Just joking.